So, what we're really focused on in the realization process, in terms of healing from trauma, is recovering a sense of internal wholeness, right? Our whole being at once. And that means, again, our ability to think and feel at the same time, our ability to speak while feeling and thinking, our ability to feel our own power and our love at the same time, for example, our whole being at once. Because those are, all of those constrictions that I've been talking about, they also fragment us, right? So many of us are able to think as long as we're not feeling, or feel as long as we're not thinking. Of course, that affects our intimate relationships in an important way, whether we can feel physical pleasure, sexual pleasure, and love at the same time, right? Whether we can really be present with our whole being for every event in our life. So all of the practices of the realization process go towards that sense of internal wholeness. As we uncover fundamental consciousness, we find that lack of division, we find that dimension of wholeness within ourselves. But just as with the constrictions in the body, those fragmentations will sometimes not just simply dissolve by inhabiting the body. Sometimes we really need to understand them, and we need to release the fascia that's holding those fragmentations in place. Now, we do have a way of getting to a very subtle level of ourselves, entering into wholeness from a very subtle core of ourselves. And this is a vertical channel, we can call it a vertical core, that runs through our torso, neck, and head. It's mentioned in Hindu yoga, some of you may be familiar with it, where it's called Sushumna. And it's mentioned also in Tibetan Buddhism, where it's called the central channel. Of course, that's an English translation. But it is mentioned in these traditional spiritual realization lineages because it's such an important entranceway for us into that most subtle level of our being. And it's from that most subtle level, fundamental consciousness, that we can most easily detect and release the holding patterns and the fragmentations. So I'm going to do a little bit of that core work with you now. And once again, just do this to the extent that feels comfortable. Really, I can't see you. I'm talking on a recording here, so I'm trusting you to take good care of yourselves and just do what feels really comfortable for you. So come sit up. Now, some of you may be familiar with your heart chakra. It's in the center of your chest, but deep in the core of your body. So what that means is as deeply as you can focus inward in your chest without strain. So as deep as you can get easily inward. And as you keep refining that ability to make deep contact inward within your chest, you may get to that channel, that subtle channel. See if you can, see how deep you can get, and see if you can find a point deep in the core of yourself in your chest. Now, when you get to it, you may find that you can feel your whole internal space from your heart center. I'll call it the heart center. It's also known as the heart chakra. It enters you into your wholeness. So some of you may be able to feel that. And if you can't feel it right now, you will be able to with practice if it interests you. Right? So just by being in the depth of the chest, you may find a point that enters you into your wholeness. That means you can feel the internal space of your feet just by being in that heart center. You can feel the internal space of your head without moving, just by being in your heart center, your whole being at once. Right? So it's an entranceway into wholeness. And now we anchor there by initiating the breath there. See if you can. Actually, start the breath within the heart center. So you may find you're bringing the breath to the point, and that's fine. And now see if you can start the breath there within the point. So even before you feel the breath move in your lungs or your nose, let yourself feel it in the heart center. And in doing that, you may feel very subtle resonance, subtle vibration throughout the whole core, right? Because it's our entranceway into wholeness. So any point along it is going to vibrate the whole core when you breathe within the point. Now, if your eyes are closed, open them. See if you can find this point with your eyes open. Of course, when we do the whole practice, we also do a point in the center of the head, center of the pelvis. But for now, we're just doing this heart center. Open your eyes and see if you can stay in that depth of yourself with your eyes open. You may find it actually deepens your perspective, even your visual perspective, as we live within this core. So experiencing your environment from this depth of yourself. And now with your eyes open, initiate the breath there. Breath starts in the heart center. Right? And the exhale also happens in the heart center. We're breathing within that core of ourselves. And there we get to that very, very subtle breath. And here's another practice to be really patient with. But if it interests you to find this very subtle depth of yourself, with practice, you'll get there.